So, hey everyone, this is the Harbor Community Meeting. This is for the Americas time zone. So if anybody didn't have a chance to check out the earlier one this morning, this is going to be sort of the replay and the update for everything that sort of was talked about. And I will do my best to kind of give an overview. First off, my name is Kenny Coleman. I am a technical product manager for Harbor here at VMware. I'm sort of a counterpart to Michael, who many of you have probably seen before or talked to before. He usually is the one that leads these things. He is across the pond doing his vacation holiday thing now for the next few weeks. So I'll be taking care of, at least for this meeting, and I believe the next bi-weekly here in 2 weeks as well. So if there is anybody that is new that wants to introduce themselves, you can go ahead and do that now. If not, we can go ahead and kind of kick off the meeting here.
Joe Eldgrowth from Pivotal.
Hey, Joe, good to have you here.
I see a bunch of new faces. I'm going to say hi. My name is Jonas Roslin. I'm an open source community manager at VMware.
John Schell with Pivotal. Just a little context for all of the Pivotal people joining. We're building out a container registry as a mechanism for distributing software from Pivotal, and our plan is to use Harbor to accomplish that. So we're excited to learn more things and contribute what we can.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Ivan, a dev from Pivotal as well.
Gary, Pivotal, Toronto.
Is there anybody not from Pivotal or VMware on here? Besides Nathan, I know that. That might be everybody then. All right, cool. So what we'll do, as I'd mentioned, so this morning, it's at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time is typically the one where most of the devs and everybody that are on the call, there's also going through a lot of the demos and stuff like that. I was able to go through this morning, kind of just take some screenshots. I'll be able to talk about it. If you have any questions or anything like that, I will be somewhat trying to take notes in another screen so we can take it back to not only just Michael, but also Alex, who is the main product manager for Harbor in here as well. So just quickly to kind of run through some things right here. We're going to just look at some of the 1.9 feature progress and sort of what's happening. There is a small little community update just to kind of let you know in regards to what's happening in regards of KubeCon. We'll be talking a little bit and showing some screenshots of the feature progress that's going in here. So of course the quotas per project, webhooks, as well as Azure replication. I don't have the presentation that was done earlier today, but Kai Cloud was able to come in and actually spend about 10 minutes sharing their setup of what it looks like inside of their production environment. They do somewhere around 10,000 container images is what they have. And so it's a very large use case for utilizing Harbor, and it was a pretty good little segment. We'll be able to share the recording with that a little bit later once it's actually uploaded to YouTube and then pushed to GitHub. And then afterwards, if there's any conversation, when he wants to talk about anything, feel free to bring it up and we can discuss. So what's new in 1.9 so far that's been working on? So far, the quota per project is still in its phase of moving forward. There's still progress happening. And we'll be able to show that sort of what it looks like right here in a few screenshots going forward that I took from the live demo this morning. Tag retention had just started within the past 2 weeks during the last cycle. So we'll be able to see that happening. The replication side is almost done. As it says on here, the only thing that's kind of waiting at this point right now is a cloud adapter happening for Ali Cloud. Sorry, an adapter that's going to be happening for Ali Cloud. And so after that's complete, then replication to multiple endpoints and targets. We're looking at Azure, Google, Harbor, Docker, Ali, and I believe there's one more in there as well. So being able to have that is a pretty substantial piece as well. In the past 2 weeks, webhook support is finally complete for its MVP, and we'll kind of look and see what that looks like for being able to get the webhooks that you want to have notifications on or anything like that. One thing that I don't have any screenshots for is being able to whitelist CVEs, as everybody kind of knows that Harbor has Claire as one of its packages inside of it. So being able to do that kicks off either manual or routine scans on your images inside of Harbor, inside of your projects. With that, you get a whole slew of list of other kinds of CVEs, whether they're critical, whether they're really informing or anything like that. This is now giving you the opportunity to whitelist it, saying that we're okay with accepting this amount of risk. So if anybody that wants to look into more of that, you can look in the stories inside of GitHub and kind of see what's been happening there as well. Endpoint log shipping utilizing syslog is done, and then doing some more scalability improvements and performance testing has been done as well. I have some of the performance results. I can try to grab that towards the end of this if something if that's interesting to you. Basically just looking at, I believe it was like 50 concurrent push and pulls at the same exact time and getting some of the benchmark tests from it. So coming into the community update, there were CFPs that have been submitted for KubeCon San Diego. I'm sure many of us are very well aware of that, of what happened. There's a lot that were submitted. The team at Harbor has been doing really well at actually getting accepted to KubeCon for being able to promote this CNCF project and having it move further up the ladder and having it graduate to the next stage as well. We are also in the process of now collecting requirements for version 110. If you go into the Harbor project board, I will drop it into the chat as well, if I can find it real quick. There it is. Where's the chat here? Sorry, I've got like a 32-inch monitor over here, so I'm trying to figure out where everything's at. Not that. Chat, there we go. All right, so there's a project board right there. So if you're interested to kind of see exactly what is happening for complete in 1.9, you can check it out there. And then you can also see what is being proposed for 1.10. If you see something in 1.10 that is important to you, please go into the GitHub issue and comment, thumbs up, whatever it is. That's how we know exactly what's important to the community. We know what's important to our users that are out there, not necessarily just what we think. So please go ahead and do that if you can. So just take a few minutes and take a look at it. There's also 2 new work groups that are spinning up. First is actually creating Harbor as an operator. This is going to make sure that we can have more of a lifecycle management piece to Harbor going forward, and actually having it within inside of the operator framework. If you are interested in that, we can get you hooked up with those people, as well as the P2P distribution. This is, again, something that's going to be part of the replication strategy going forward. Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. That might be implementing Dragonfly as part of it, but I'm not 100% sure on it. But again, if that's something that is interesting to you, there is a new work group spinning up that you can go ahead and be a part of that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of show some screenshots of what they had talked about earlier this morning, and you can kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like. First is looking at the quotas per project. I'm going to go ahead and just sort of blow this up here so y'all can see it. Let me know if you can't see it by any means. But what this is allowing you to do is actually go into the configuration in the admin's backend, or the admin UI. With inside there, you can go and drill down into individual different projects. And with inside that project, you can set a few different quotas. There's 2 different ones actually. So you can set it based on the count. How many images can you have in that particular project? So if you want to limit to 4 or 10 or 60, whatever it is. The other is based on storage. If anybody's unaware why this was a very important feature, was because you could create sort of this bucket, but there was really no rails or anything that could stop you from sitting there and adding terabytes or anything like that into it. this is a new administrative handle that you can kind of keep people within inside of these guardrails to make sure that you can make sure that it doesn't go over anything that you want to budget or allocate to it as well. This can also be done not only just with inside of the project quotas here inside the configuration, but if you go into the individual project, you can see it there as well. Here's just an image of what it looks like that if you are hitting an actual quota, some of the error message that you see back. This is something, of course, that this is not the final rendition of it. There's still going to be things that are going to be changed. However, this is the error message that comes back from the CLI, from the Docker CLI, as you're trying to push something into it and it doesn't have available quota to it. So moving on to webhooks, I'll go ahead and blow this one up again for y'all too. So coming into webhooks, it's system-wide. So going to the configuration side, you can just enable it, right? And it's actually enabled by default with a checkbox. You can check it on, check it off, save it. Pretty simple to be able to see it right there. In regards of how you configure it too, you set your endpoint URL. This is the server that you're going to be having all the webhooks actually pointing to. That secret is an HTTP header. So if it requires anything, you can do that as well right there. And then this is kind of really the meat of it right here. So today, these download chart, deleting chart, uploading, deleting the images, pulling the images, pushing images, scanning failed, and scanning complete. Those are the webhooks that are available today. It is also this first iteration of it. This is again sort of this MVP and sort of getting it out here. So you're going to look at this as more things can be added. If there's more things that you would like to see, there is in the 1.10 proposal, or sorry, 1.10 proposal within inside that project board. There is a link to Webhook 2.0 or the Webflow hooks within inside of there. Please go ahead and comment if there's anything that you'd like to see in regards to webhooks to be able to be added into here. One of the other things that you kind of notice in here as well is that there's that big disabled button. That actually doesn't mean disabled. That is actually a button you can click and it will disable everything. So it's at this time, it is an all or nothing type of situation. These webhooks are also done on a per project basis. It's not done as a all-encompassing thing for every single project, but you can turn them on or turn them off for individual projects, but you cannot turn or turn off individual webhooks at this time. So you can look at that coming in the next iteration. So if you were to hit that disabled button, you would see the status of these turn to a red X with disabled next to it. Likewise, then you would hit the button that says enabled, and then everything flips and goes to enabled. Again, this is not the final UI for it, but it is a work in progress. And then looking at the Azure registry right here. So these are all of the types of registries that are available for replication. So you have, of course, Docker, Azure, AWS, Google, Huawei, Docker Hub, as well as native Harbor replication. So adding in Azure now, we can have replication go back and forth. You put in, of course, your URL, your access ID, and your secret. And coming into here is where you can now create multiple replication rules based upon a particular repository or a particular project. You can set your replication policy in here as well. So once you can replicate it, you can see what's inside of here is able to replicate 3 different images to the Azure registry. So that's sort of its push scenario, as you can see right there. It also has the ability to do polling. So you can do polling as well from there and bring it into Harbor, and you can set it to let it know exactly which project you want it to be mapped to as well. I don't have the slides or anything from the Kai Clouds, but as I talked about, they use around 10,000 container images is what they have. They're doing multi-site high availability across their platform as well. other than that, so far, it's like I said, we're going to go pretty fast through here. So anything that you all would be looking to discuss or want to know more?
We did have a question around kind of off topic from anything else discussed around the guest user permissions, specifically the ability to list or view all the other members of a project. So this probably follows kind of a more general thought process from on our side of more granular role-based access control. Just like the ability to do things like use labels, we may not want to allow developers or even people who can push to repos to apply labels if we want to set special purpose to them or things like that as an organization. So just kind of curious if there's any thoughts about specifically the guest role-based access control and like a more general, like finer grain control around some of those things.
At this point, there's nothing that is on the 1.9 or 1.10 project board for putting more finer grain permissions with inside of the guest policies or anything like that. I'm writing notes, so I'll be able to take that back to Alex and Michael and kind of see what they think of that moving forward. If that is something that you would like to see, I would always suggest opening an issue inside of the repository, and that's what's going to get the most eyeballs on it. As everybody's probably pretty well aware, the majority of the development team is based in Beijing, so it is currently 4 a.m. for them, so they'll see it here in a few hours.
Thank you.
I also have a question. I'm not sure if there are other users of Harbors that encountered this before. Is we're trying to use the Harbors API, and currently we can only use like basic auth tokens in order to authenticate against Harbor. That's like from the Swagger sort of API UI. Is there an alternative to basic auth?
That I'm not entirely sure of. I mean, I know that Swagger's a part of it. I know I've only used the basic auth pieces of it as well. I've never tried anything else, but I will ask Michael and see if there's any sort of token based or anything like that, and I'll see what I can figure out. I mean, from the basic auth side, I mean, you should be able to utilize anything that's talking to the back end, whether it's LDAP or OIDC. That's sort of going to be your crush for it.
Yeah, we're currently planning on using UAA, and UAA has like built-in refresh token, like a built-in auth flow. So hopefully, like in the future, we're able to utilize that instead of basic auth.
Okay, I'll make sure to make a note that you want to use UAA.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just to chime in real quick, when you mentioned that you're using basic auth, are you setting that in every request, or are you logging in once and then pulling like a session token?
So we would need to store. It would be an encoded version of a username and password, and we would store. We're currently like in development, and we're like just storing that in an environment variable somewhere. So it's inconvenient because if we want to use a different user, it would be like we can't actively like log in with username and password if we're just using the API.
I see. So I don't know if it's changed in a recent version of Harbor. I just dropped a GitHub link in the chat. I know a tool that we wrote that interacts with the Harbor API. The route we used to do it, and I copied this from the old Python API client, is by basically visiting like the front end's login page and doing a login there, and then pulling back like the session token that it sets, and you can set that for further requests and talk to the API that way. I don't know if that helps solve your problem or not.
Oh, interesting. So you're using like the browser's cookie.
Essentially, yeah.
I see. Yeah, we can look into that.
We were hoping that the UAA bearer token, their refresh token, would work. So we set that as a header, authorization bearer on each request, but that doesn't work. So
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? If not, we got a lot of time left. Okay, well, I believe that'll be it. If you want to find any more of the prior meetings or anything like that, of course, everything's available on the GitHub page. And this will be uploaded in due time as well. Well, that's it. Thanks, everybody. If you have anything else, feel free to ask in the Slack, CNCF Harbor, or yeah, in CNCF Slack. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
bye, everyone.
thank you.
See ya.